So, real quickly before we go to our 5 quick questions, what else can you tell us and fans out there about Citizen Siege? Like, when's it coming? What little tidbit do you want to put out there?
I can't give you those answers. I mean, some of those answers I don't even have right now, But I can tell you this. I mean, one of the things that we're focusing on, and this is because we've got a few properties in our belt, and we've got more that we're forming alliances with, and one of the things we're looking at is how to go directly to the customer, which means you'll understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely. That's what we're doing here.
Absolutely. Just before we went on the air here, you were mentioning how, it's important to really know who your customer is, know what they want, and you can trust no one but yourself, meaning the content creators, to be as concerned and as passionate about that. You can't find anyone else to raise your kids as well as your own.
That's absolutely true.
So period, right? You need to stay in contact with the people that are really the ones that are financing your content.
That's right.
Your audience is paying for your games. It's not the studio. I mean, it kind of is, right? But they're really making a loan that the audience is going to pay back. Right?
That's true.
Yep.
So that's where our bread and butter is ultimately going to come from. But what's interesting today, and this is something that I've been spending a lot of time focusing on and thinking about and trying to look at new models, is that the system of delivering box office product, game shelf product, and network television product, that system is so expensive and so paranoid that inevitably, if you get the budgets, I mean, you have to be a pretty powerful player not to have a whole huge committee of, finance-approved, watchers over your project that are going to question every story. Everything that you do is going to be questioned because the investment is so high that, all these people have reasonable concerns. That doesn't mean it adds to better product, right? All of these reasonable concerns. It doesn't mean it adds to a bigger hit, but it makes them feel bigger along the way. So what we have is we have a climate where in games and movies and TV, the creators and the audience are separated by the studios, the networks, and the publishers. And to get to the audience, we're going through this filtering system that is in turn using its own judgment of what it thinks is viable for the marketplace. Right? Totally reasonable, totally fair. What I've just said is really not really an opinion. It's just the state of the entertainment industry across the 3 spectrums.
Right.
When I look at what should be happening is that let me give you this metaphor. In my house, fuel costs today or whatever a gallon, right? So our electric bill is higher, our gas bill is higher, our water bills and everything is getting higher because everything requires oil as distribution and there's inflation. So whatever. Without getting into a tangent, all of the utilities we pay, for the most part, are usage, pay per usage. If I use so much watts in my house, I pay on that much wattage. If I use so much water, that many gallons, on and on for gas and other utilities. But except for my cable bill, right? My cable bill, I have to, if I want one show a month, I basically have to subscribe to this whole other 300 channel bullshit.
Right.
Right. Now I don't buy anything else that way. I don't buy a dozen apples when I only want one. Right? I don't buy 50 kilowatts of power when I only need 10. But why do I have to pay for 500 channels of shit I never watch, never care about, have no interest in whatsoever, just so I can get that HBO package?
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
So I've been focused a lot on wait a minute. How do we offer, the biggest ripoff in my house is my cable bill. That's the biggest rip-off utility because I'm paying $70 a month, and I only care about 3 shows. I would much rather pay a $2.99 for each show that I want to see and walk away at the end of the month for $12 instead of $60 for a bunch of shit I don't want to see. Now, where I think this is really making itself blindingly clear with the audience is with iTunes. Right? Mm-hmm. We just saw that just a few weeks ago, it was identified that iTunes surpassed Best Buy in music sales. And the chances are that within 12 months from now, iTunes is going to pass Walmart in music sales. Now, that's really exciting. And a lot of the reason for that behavior that iTunes is doing so well is because the youth today don't understand why you would buy a CD that has 5 songs you don't want. Right? It's kind of like my cable bill.
Right.
Right? When my parents were kids, they were getting 45s, right? They could buy singles. The record store was mostly singles. It was the record companies that said, "Wait a minute, we want to sell you more. You know, we have the radio session, we have the studio going. Let's put 12 songs on there and charge 8 times as much instead of 1 song at a time." You know, so they wanted to sell packages rather than the individual things. So it's interesting because music sales, in a lot of ways, had seen a singles delivery system, you know, doing quite well, but it became packaged as an LP system, which is close to, you know, what's happening in the cable networks.
So where do you stand on when you look at a game like Warhawk in the way that it was marketed? Is that something that you were excited about in terms of how it was distributed? Do you think like big AAA titles that are you know retail only still are going to go the way of the dodo?
You know, I think there's going to be a larger landscape, right? I don't think one necessarily excludes the other. But if there's still console gaming systems around in 15 years, I'll be astounded. I'll just be amazed, right? Because I think that our TVs are going to become that powerful. You know, our iPods are going to become that powerful.
Right.
So everything will just be running in connected devices that you always have access to high processing, you know, powerful hardware that's usually probably you're wearing in 15 years from now, right? Like that is the PS9 or whatever we want to call it, but I'm exaggerating a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Single device. Like I'm not playing any games that aren't basically if they require a console, I haven't been playing them. I mean that's just the truth, right? It's not because I feel that they're you know this or that, or I'm just like, how am I spending my time? And I want to adapt how I spend my time to where the youth market is, how they're spending their time. So, you know, I'm getting older here, right? And the last thing I want to do is get older. Right? The last thing I want to do is be my parents saying, "What is that crap you're listening to?" You know, I want to be the guy who's going, "Oh, that's why these people are dialing into this music. I get it. That's why their behavior of not wanting to buy extra songs is making iTunes the #1 music outlet,
right?
And it's going to surpass Walmart. Well, video's next, so footage is next, right? But now, if we look at the landscape of the media sort of traditional wisdom, we'd say, well, no one so far is really buying video on the web. And you'd say, well, yeah, that's because you're just supplying the same old shit, right? It's the same shit I watch on TV, or it's the same shit that I watch on someone's webisodes or their blog. So why do I want to pay for that? But once people start making content, and actually Eisner is doing a bit of this right now and it's showing promising, is that once people start making content that is only available on the web and can't be gotten somewhere else, then you're going to see, in my opinion, huge migrations. Because we feel ripped off by the traditional channels.
Good. It's always interesting insight when you talk about the future of distribution, and it's fun to get your take on it and see how you're going to be taking things. I know we've already gotten a ton of time for you, and we definitely wanted to move on to our quick questions and make sure we get those in. But before we do that, wanted to make sure we let you know that in honor of you coming on the show, we want to do donate $500 in your name to Child's Play.
Oh wow! Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
But with that, now we've got our 5 quick questions to put you a little bit on the spot. And the first one is, how many game deals with EA does it take to get disillusioned with game development?
It only took us one.
Okay, what was the stranger's real name?
You know, that's funny. We never gave him one.
If you had, what would it have been?
No, that's interesting because I always thought it was like an orphan who never was raised with a family. So you take on the name of what everyone called.
Yeah.
From that perspective, we wanted to leave an element of mystery in that way, and we never said, yeah, but his mother named him this, because we always looked at it as though this was basically a boy raised by wolves.
Had you fathered him, what would you have named him?
I probably would have called it something like butt ugly, man.
or just a
Girls,
or Sue, right?
Yeah, Sue. I think a female voice would go real well with that.
There you go. More Johnny Cash, but there you go.
So, if you were going to use a real-life animal as live ammo, which animal would it be?
Hummingbird.
Why a hummingbird?
Yeah.
Because if you could, a hummingbird with a slingshot would be awesome.
Pretty much.
Do you ever see a hummingbird attack another hummingbird?
No.
Okay, so they use their long beaks like a unicorn would stab something. So they use them like swords, and they're super territorial. And when they feel that their nests are in danger, they are like way aggressive, and they will pierce that nose right into another hummingbird's heart.
Wow.
Damn.
These guys are badass. So if you could shoot,
who knew?
Shot, yeah.
And then genetically breed them to be larger with a sharper beak to attack humans. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So they're probably already working on that.
So, what is the worst story you have about a bad voice actor?
You don't have to name the actor. We just know you have railed about voice acting in the past.
Well, that's kind of why we always did our own, because I tended to stay away from bringing in voice actors and did them all with people in the studio who were already working there. So it was like the animator would get to do voice acting. I would do voices. Because what I felt when I don't mean this condescendingly, but this is what I felt when I watched other people's product, and I played other people's product, and I heard the voices in the games. What I heard was actors who showed up on the set to get their check for that many hours and then split. That's what I would hear coming through their voice.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they were totally disconnected from the drama or the narrative that they were supposed to be engaged in, and they weren't. And that's part of it to me is that we go, okay, it takes great directing to get great acting. Like the two are not separable, right? And anyone who says otherwise basically doesn't know what they're talking about. Because all the time we see great actors do not so great performances. Look at Liam Neeson in Star Wars. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did he say? I'll never work with Lucas again.
Right.
Because you need a great director to pull out the great actor in the appropriate times of the overall scheme of the whole.
I thought Hayden Christensen was great. No, not really.
Oh, right?
I can't say that with a straight face.
Yeah. And there's a great quote from Ron Howard way back, and he said when he first started working, when he was working with George Lucas on American Graffiti, he said, I was thinking about maybe going to film school. And Lucas was like, yeah, that's great. And work in animation. And that way you don't have to work with the actors. and Ron Howard said, he was like, man, I'm there on his set as an actor, and it was like, he just told me that he doesn't like working with actors. So, and it sort of comes through in his recent movies where he's had all the control and no one can tell him anything. Those deficits show up blindingly clear. But no matter how great the actors are, and there's a number of great actors in that film, but how do you deliver a performance when the director doesn't care about that?
Sure.
So for us, it was always, what could we manage inside? I kind of looked at it like a Jim Henson model.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if you're going to operate the puppet, let's hear your voice, man. Come on, let's have fun with this. So the idea of working with the actors at the game budget level didn't appeal to me. The idea of working with the actors at more of a film budget level, then it makes me more excited to work with unknown actors who are actually really good, because I don't care about their box office draw, what their name brings. The animated projects don't really benefit from the big names. I know Katzenberg thinks so. I know, but Brad Pitt's been on a few and haven't done shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Angelina Jolie, it doesn't work if it's not a great story. And if it is a great story, you don't need the big name, So I'm really enjoying working with more people that are outside of the normal spectrum, don't have to have the big name draw quality, and we can sort of have that Sergio Leone approach to just finding who's the really great textural, character for this character in the world. Let's work with that person. We don't care how famous they are.
Gotcha. So, finally.
Okay.
Your pick.
I'm rambling, Lorne.
No. Your pick in the NCAA tournament. Who's going to win it all?
Yeah, he is. What is it? Basketball?
Men's basketball, women's basketball. Yeah, it's March Madness.
There you go. I have no idea. You were saying March Madness earlier. I was figuring, well, wow, you guys must have a delivery or something. Must be going to gold.
Right, or Ides of March, something like that.
I have no idea. I can't tolerate, for the most part, watching sports and watching the commercials that tag with sports. Doesn't mean I don't think sports are fun, but man, I'm not a sports fan.
Well, what's your non-games or movies pleasure pursuit?
Well, my first love is fly fishing.
Really?
For me being alone on a river out in the middle of nowhere where you could die any minute, that's heaven for me. I mean, it's just awesome. And I love being connected to nature. I mean, it's always been a powerful theme in my work. It's always been inspiring to me. It's something that I just continue to pursue. And then on the other hand, I love going to the Top Fuel drag races. Like if I'm going to watch some sports, I tend to be more interested in the extreme sports like freestyle motocross,
right?
Inline skating. I mean, just where these guys are insane, or the horsepower is insane. Kind of a bit of a motorhead.
Can't you combine that with fly fishing a little bit? Maybe like extreme fly fishing with live ammo. Like I think you've got like a whole. You could blend all of it.
Well, I was thinking. I was thinking of a fishing game a long time ago where you had to. Where you were kind of like a hardcore redneck fishing. You had a big
There's no such thing.
Shark class, fishing rod, and you'd have to snag people off the beach and drag them through the water as bait for big shark hunting. So it'd be like a game where you couldn't figure out what to use for bait, and you just have to put two and two together to realize there's bait all along the shoreline everywhere.
It's an interesting sandbox concept, right? Literally.
Yeah, it would have been great.
Awesome. Well, Lorne, thank you so much for all your time today. It was great talking to you and getting your take on some stuff. And hope everything is going well on all the projects you're developing. And we're really, really excited to check them out whenever you start to talk more.
We won't treat you like press. You can just come in and tell us. We won't. We'll be cool. We're just here for a developer podcast.
Hey, love it. Love what you guys are doing too, and I think I think it serves as a beacon for more developers to do the same. So it's really great stuff that you're up to, and my pleasure being on. And we'll keep you guys at the early, the front list. You'll have the VIP pass to early reviews when we start getting down the road.
That would be fantastic.
Sounds good.
Got it.
Cool.
All right, thanks a bunch, Lorne.
Lorne, we'll catch you later, man.
Likewise. Take care, guys.